If you ever read the book A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, you know that very famous opening line. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And he wasn't even talking about the holidays. He was talking about the French Revolution. But in some families, that's kind of how the holidays feel. A lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. So we want to take that away. We want to make holidays good for everyone as best as we possibly can. And that's really about managing your stress and your expectations. So stay tuned because my guest today and we are going to talk about that, managing the holidays and improving them. Stay tuned.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Vinny, welcome to Scan FYI. I'm so happy to have you here as my guest today. Vinny Smith from Braven Health, my expert of the day on many topics, actually, Vinny. But the holidays can be tough, right?
Holidays, unfortunately, are meant not to be tough. They're supposed to be joyous, giving thanks, being happy. And unfortunately, too many of us get stressed out over them for various reasons.
And it really can be the best of times and the worst of times. And unfortunately, for many people, it's just like an open invitation for stress and anxiety. And we can do something about that. I know you've got a lot to say on the topic. So let's get right into it. We want to talk about how to make the holidays better for us as the host, for our guests, for everyone. Let's have a joyous holiday.
Absolutely. This is supposed to be a joyous time of the year. Yeah. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to have family gatherings. Doesn't matter what religion, sect, culture, anything. It's a lot of it in December and January. So this goes across the board for every possible joyous occasion that we're supposed to have. But being realistic, and what happens is that the holiday season often brings unwelcome guests. And that guess obviously is stress and depression. The holidays often present a dizzying array of demands, okay? Cooking meals, shopping, baking, cleaning, entertaining, just to name a few, plus thoughts of the loved ones that you have lost over the past years or year, things along like that. We're talking about not opioid, yeah, we're talking about people that have opioid problems. We're also talking about the COVID problem that has been going on. It overwhelms some people because they don't know how to deal with it. Instead of keeping that positive approach, what happens is that the holiday plans look a lot different during COVID and they become a lot different. And for those other reasons, and one of the things is that we have to learn how to deal with that and not let that stress us out. We need to stay positive and up in this situation.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. They're even stressing over how to stay positive.
Oh, absolutely.
Even that becomes another stress point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, you got to remember that human beings are emotional, and not everyone is built the same. I have seen it in my past experiences. I'm sure you have too. Like you've seen people start off a day being very happy, very jovial. They're walking into the house, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, happy New Year's. All of them, any time when there's a holiday or a holy day. Right. And the situation is that then next thing you see down the line, they're not happy somewhat because we have a tendency to get on each other's nerves. Uncle Jack who puts the lampshade on his head gets involved, But there are ways we can learn how to prevent holiday stress and depression. When stress is at its peak, it's hard to stop and regroup. I grant that, but we're going to try to talk about preventing it in the first place, especially if the holidays have taken an emotional toll on you previously. Yeah. So if you want, I'll be happy to be going over that.
And it's like another COVID holiday to boot. I feel like we're getting a little bit out of it, but COVID is still part of the mix. And that adds just yet another layer of anxiety for people. Yeah.
Yep. Well, with the COVID, you got to stop and think that we have a choice. Do we want to get a vaccination or do we not want to get a vaccination? That's an individual choice, but it also affects other people. Now, during a holiday, You might have Uncle John that doesn't want to have anything to do with getting the vaccination. He may feel differently about the whole thing. Now you're going to make a decision. Are we inviting Uncle John and his family to the house, or are we not? So that's a very, very stressful situation. My son-in-law just went through that with his own father. They went down to visit him in Florida, and wound up the father didn't tell him the whole truth, and very upsetting situation. But the idea is this is all on top of this besides the normal stress that they have. But let's talk about possibly preventing some of this stuff. Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay. First off, you have to acknowledge your own feelings. Okay. If someone close to you, for instance, has recently passed, and you can't be with that loved one or ones for other reasons, well, realize that it's normal to feel sadness and grief. It's okay to take time to cry or express your feelings. You can't force yourself to be happy just because it's the holiday season. But you can also do it on a personal level within yourself, and not expound it to other people, because then you're just dragging other people down. They have their own feelings. But the idea is it's okay to have some grief, okay, especially around these times, for anybody that has passed away in the past year. But the whole thing is that have the grief, say the grief, okay, to yourself, talk to yourself about it. In your mind, of course. I'm not saying have a conversation because no one's going to answer you back. But the bottom line is that acknowledging that type of grief prior to the big holiday celebrations and things along those lines will help you get through that much more easily. Okay. You'll probably have a toast to that person. I know my family, I lost my brother 7 months ago. I know on Christmas what's going to happen is that the other brothers and sisters, we're all going to get up and we're all going to raise a glass and have a toast to my brother John. I expect that, and I know that. I'm looking forward to that because I do want to remember him, right? But I'm not going to let it drag me down or my family down or anybody else around, because we're going to think only of the good, positive things and not the negative.
Right.
That's how you're going to get through that. Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
Sometimes you have to reach out. Okay. Sometimes you're going to be a lonely person. You might have a family that's far off. Your kids get married, and that one goes to Florida, one goes to California, one's working in Indiana, even in New York. We have family that has gone out to Long Island who wants to travel to Long Island during holidays. It takes you 2 days to get there and 3 days to get back, with the traffic and the roadways that they have. But don't let yourself feel lonely or isolated, okay? Seek out your community. Seek out the people, religious or other social events in community. Get involved in them, okay? There's many websites that you can explore. They can often support and offer companionship, okay? You don't have to be solo. You don't have to be the person by yourself, okay? So make sure you reach out. If you're feeling stressed like that during the holidays because your family has spread out all over the place or whatever, and friends too. It also may help to talk to a friend or a family member about your concerns. Nowadays, look what you and I are doing here. We're talking, we're doing this, we're videotaping this, and we hope that everybody goes to the website and checks it out.
Right.
You can do the same thing. There's a lot of grandparents now that love to Zoom with their grandkids. They've learned how to do that. The Zoom is pretty simple, okay? So try reaching out and either call or text or use a video like a Zoom or any other method that you choose to them, okay? Don't expect them to come to you. Don't worry about that, okay? You go to them. You initiate it. Right. That will help you overcome any type of isolation. It's not a hard thing to do anymore.
Great idea. Set up a Zoom call with your family. It's the next best thing to being there. Definitely. Yeah. You also got to be realistic where on a holiday, you got to remember that the holidays don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be just like last year either. Okay. Last year was much tougher than this year. So you're going to expect them to be better for you. Right. As families grow, so do traditions and rituals often change. Choose what you want to hold on to and be open to new ones. What we used to do, and we had to stop this like 2-3 years ago, if I may use my own personal situation, was that my family was huge. Okay. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. My wife's family wasn't that huge. So what we developed was our family
We have our Christmas celebration for the family only, like the third Saturday in January every year. We rent out a firehouse, and we call it the cousins party. Okay,
Nice.
it used to be just the brothers and sisters, and when mom and pop was alive, we handle it and take care of it. And then we said, well, wait a minute, we've got 10,000 cousins here now. Between there's 8 brothers and sisters. Let them handle it and let us just come and join. Okay, but it's a special Saturday, and everybody comes, and the cousins exchange gifts in a grab bag, so it keeps the cost down. And of course, the firehouse we use is all the way up in North Arlington, but that's because my brother-in-law is a fireman up there and he gets it for free. So experiment and see if you can do the post-holiday get-together for the whole family, okay? Because families grow. My wife's family, we used to go to my brother-in-law's house every Christmas, and all the men would have a toast at midnight, and the women would do this, and it was a nice situation. The kids would run around downstairs in the family room and destroy it. You know, you expect that, you know that. But it got so big, the families just got so big with us having our kids and our kids having their kids, we had to stop that. We had to split that up. But what we do then is we do just a dessert time instead of a whole day.
Okay,
And
nice.
we alternate every year. Okay, so we find different ways to cut down the amount of time because the crowd is so big, and it makes it more special. And
You're creating your own traditions,
Absolutely.
alternative traditions.
Yeah,
It doesn't
absolutely.
all have to happen on the day of the holiday. That's an important
No.
point.
Nope, it does not. Okay, it's
good. I
the
like
idea
that.
that you get to express that. And we have other things that we can go over here. I'm just trying to take my notes and separate them.
Well, I like that you mentioned about sticking to a budget, because one of the big stressors for the holidays is the financial aspect of it. It can be
Absolutely.
astronomical if you allow that to happen.
Oh, sure. You can't have the burden all on one person. Even if you still have the situation where you're the mom and dad, and you have 3 children, and they have spouses, and they all have 2 children each. Okay, you're talking about 14 people right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's not cheap. Now, many of us, when we retire and we're not working anymore, we want to have our family get together, and grandma, okay, mom, grandma wants the family. This is my house. This is my holiday. Okay, we started dividing holidays. Okay, Christmas for us is my house with my 3 kids and their kids. New Year's Eve is at my son. Thanksgiving is at my other daughter. And my other daughter has July 4th for us because we have 3 people in the family with July 4th birthday. My wife, her twin, and a twin son.
Well, you really have it all worked out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to work it out because you got to spread it out. You got to spread it out. I am not independently wealthy. I can't do it for every holiday because the cost is crazy. Now, if you can't afford it, great, that's fine. But if you're the average person, you're going to find a way, but you don't have to find a way. Find a better way and just share it and do that. And it works much better that way too. Everybody gets a different responsibility, and it works out, and everybody shares. And
everyone gets to participate in there. I definitely like that. And I'll add something to that. That definitely takes some communication.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's usually where I come in. I get that job. Okay, where are we having it? What are we doing? And who's coming? It's a plan. It's a plan. And you know what? That plan gets you to the point, like, for instance, I just mentioned before, I just lost my brother a few months ago. That plan gets me involved in the spirit of the whole thing. Okay, and not to stay on the positive side of it. You know what? We have a lot of problems in our culture is we have families with differences. Okay, you got to set aside. Okay, you got to accept family and friends as they are. So, like I said before, like Uncle Harry puts the lampshade over his head every year because he has maybe a couple too many beers. He's not hurting anybody. Just make sure he's not driving. All right, so okay, laugh and let it go. He's doing it once a year. Don't get crazy. I saw my aunt one time want to whack him. Like, whoa, he said, it's okay, it's fine. It's joyous. So just treat it that way. As long as it doesn't offend or hurt anyone, except rather than get uptight about it, it's just let it happen. Set aside your grievances until a more appropriate time for a discussion, because Too often families want to bicker with each other now. Never get into a political discussion during these times. Leave it alone. Take politics out of the holidays, okay? If others are having a feeling of despair or stress, okay, don't fall into their trap. Some people want people to join in and be on the negative side. Don't fall for that trap. That's that person's personality, okay? Stay away from that. Stay positive, stay as happy and as cordial as possible. Sometimes we need to walk away or avoid certain people. Don't be afraid to do that. That will lessen your stress during holidays. Don't let people drag you down, okay? And when we talked before, we were talking about a budget. I actually want to go over that a little bit more. You need to stick to a budget when you do these big holiday things, okay? You can't worry about what you're going to spend, because if the purpose is that you want to do something, you're going to do it. You can cut corners somewhere else after the first of the year, okay? But before you want to stick to a budget, and before you do your gift and food shopping, you may not be a millionaire, okay? So you may have to decide about how much money you can actually afford to spend and stick to it. Stick to it, okay?
Yeah.
You can't find happiness by buying an avalanche of gifts, all right? That doesn't bring happiness. That just brings a hole in your pocket. Okay, so some of the alternatives to that would be donate to a charity in someone's name. Okay, instead of handing them all the kids, well, not so much the kids, but like your brother or your sister or something, like they hand them an envelope and a check in it. You know what you do? Put a little note in that I have donated to the American Cancer Society or whatever choice that you have. They don't need it, probably. If they do need it, well, yeah, then you're going to help them out maybe that way. But it's much better to give to those that need during the holidays. Okay?
Absolutely.
Or if you're crafty, homemade gifts. I look forward to my sister-in-law all the time. She's very crafty. She's very good. She'll do like a candle ensemble with wreath around it and stuff like that. It's very pretty. It's very fitting for Christmas Day. And things other times, like one of the best ones, July 4th, is that she insists upon doing this. She does these tie-dye T-shirts for her two twin sisters and the nephew that are born on July 4th. That means so much more than handing me a card and a check in it, and to my wife, because it's not my birthday. But you can do things like that. Or you can do what I also said before, if you remember, is that you're doing a family gift exchange. When everybody comes over after dinner to my house, what happens is during the course of the year, everybody, you know how you get these things that someone gives it to you and you really don't know what to do with it? Save it, put it in the garage or someplace and take it out and wrap it up from Christmas, because it's really funny gift time. It's not expensive gifts. So I do things like that. And one of the traditions is that we have a duck. And every year that duck gets put into there and nobody knows who's going to get this porcelain duck. And that's like the prize thing and all stuff like that. So do a family gift exchange like that. Okay, instead of like giving to everyone, just do a little funny thing and stuff. It saves on us. We call it the cousins party. And what happens is that like I said before, for our family, the grandparents, the aunts and the uncles will all participate, but let the cousins run it, because there's like 4 times the amount of cousins, stuff like that. And do the goofy gift exchange. Instead of, like I just said, expensive items, wrap up oddities and put them in a put numbers in it, put the names in a hat, okay, and pull the name out. Then they get to choose which gift they see, because we keep them on the table. So that's why it's really funny, because sometimes the gifts will match, but most of the time they won't match the person that's taken. So it makes a lot of fun. So, and one of the other things that we have, what always stresses us out, is that we do things last second. Okay, that gives us a lot of stress, and then we're under the gun, and it doesn't become enjoyable anymore. Learn to enjoy your holidays and your holy days. Okay, and how do you do that? Plan ahead. If you plan ahead and you don't rush, okay, you're not going to have those problems. You might have a last second problem, but most of the time you can get going on a schedule and get things going. Plan on certain days for shopping and baking and connecting with friends and other activities. Plan your menu and then make your shopping list. You don't have to do that. We're going to use December 25th, Christmas Day. Okay. You don't want to start doing that on December 21st. I remember one year. Yeah, this is a funny story, and it was during my young and foolish days. when my wife and I were first married, we were going to have New Year's Eve at our house for our friends. The day before New Year's Eve, okay, the last day of December, Vinny gets sent to go to the Pathmark and buy pretzels, chips, all those type of things. Okay, I go, there's not much left to start off with.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm going down the aisle and I reach and grab a bag of pretzels. Okay, it was the last bag of pretzels. And I'm putting it into my cart. And as I release it, a woman comes by, reaches in and pulls it out. And I looked at her and I went like, she goes, I need these. I said, oh, like I don't. I was young and foolish at that time. So I reached back into the bag, her thing, and put the bag back in my cart. And I said to her, don't reach for them. So obviously she said, no, I need them. And she reaches for them. And I lost my temper. Stress took over. I said, you know what? I got an idea. This is how we're going to do this. And I break the bag open. I put half of the contents in her basket and half in mine. Now, is that the right thing to do? No. But I let stress get to me. All I should have done was like, keep the pretzels.
She really needed those pretzels probably more than you did.
Them, yeah. But again, here's the point. I'm going the day before New Year's Eve. Come on. All right. Plan better than that. These are things that you can do. Get them a week before or anything like that. So try doing things like that. Make your menu up, get what you need for it and stuff like that. And, it helps prevent those last minute scramblings, which is never good for us. All right. They are very stressful. And line up help when possible. Don't be afraid to use Aunt Betty. She's a great cake maker. Or Uncle Bob's capability of mixing drinks or what's that? Many hands make light work.
Yes. Okay? And that's very true during the holidays. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's a key. Here's a big key for not stressing out. Okay. Learn to say no.
Yeah.
How often does a person say no? We need to say no sometimes. We really, really do. Saying yes when you should say no could lead to being resentful and overwhelmed. Someone asks you like, oh, well, I really like deviled eggs. This is 2 days before the New Year's Eve party. Can you make some deviled eggs? Oh, geez, no, I'm sorry. That's not, that wasn't in my plans. I don't have the stuff to do that. I don't think I can get it done. That is an appropriate response. It's a nice way of telling them no. Okay, just don't go no. All right, because then your stress is way over.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to say no. Don't put yourself out where it's going to stress you out. There are times when you have to say no. I talk to my wife about that all the time with babysitting. Sometimes you can say no. We don't have to watch all their kids. They can have somebody else in the family watch the kids. Things like that. And I'm just saying, don't get overwhelmed. True friends and colleagues will understand if you can't participate in every project. Sometimes you got to say no to going to certain places. You might get like 5 invitations. You can only go to one place, maybe 2 the most. The other ones, guess what? You're going to have to say no instead of like rushing from one to another and stuff like that. You don't want to get involved in that. That alone could stress you out and ruin your whole holiday. Okay.
No is a complete sentence, and don't be afraid to use it.
That's right. And don't forget, priority should also be a norm. Make priorities.
Yeah.
Okay. There's times where you're going to have to deviate. Okay. But then that's expected. It's not going to be big. So if you plan ahead, you make things a priority, that's going to be okay. When someone usually tries to take advantage also, head them off by letting them know of your immediate or long range plan that takes precedent over what they might be asking for. I know for a fact that one of the family members would always say to me, like about 3 days before the gathering of the family, is, you got some gin, right? For gin and tonic. I always had the gin and tonic for him. One year I forgot it. And he says, there's no gin. I said, no. He said, the liquor stores aren't even open. I said, well, drink water. Right away, I was getting stressed out because I did forget to get what he wanted. You know what? Don't get crazy about that stuff. Just have your long range plan, dot your I's, cross your T's, and have priorities. And if something doesn't go along, Jace, it's always easy to say, geez, I'm really sorry. Okay.
Go with the flow.
Yep. But what you have to remember too, also to relieve yourself of not getting stressed, okay, not relieve yourself, but to prevent getting stressed, is that you can't abandon the habits that you normally do, especially healthy habits. Okay. Don't let holidays become a free for all. No, I'm not saying don't go have, a drink, or don't pass up the mashed potatoes with gravy that grandma makes. Okay. Because they taste great. But just don't get crazy 5 days before, 5 days after the day of the holiday. Give yourself a pleasure. Do the unhealthy habits, as long as they don't hurt you, okay, are fine. But don't let it become a free for all. Don't overindulge, okay, because that will cause stress.
Yeah.
Because the next day you're going to get on the scale and you're going to go like, I gained 2 pounds yesterday. Well,
Right.
yeah. Look at everything you ate. Look at everything you know. Try to stay as healthy as you can prior to and right after it, especially with the alcohol, drinks, and the rich foods, the cookies, the cakes, and sugar. And if you're diabetic, you know what? If you're going someplace, bring your own sugar-free dessert with you. Great idea. Hand it to the host or hostess when you come in. Say, here, this is a little sugar-free in case anybody needs it. Knowing damn well that's going to be you, but it could be somebody else too. So get around some of those problems by bringing your own with you, okay? Get your sleep. Physical activity should remain the same, okay? Try to avoid the TV or radio online productions, okay, that will only give you depressing acts such as the 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock news.
Oh, don't be watching the news. No.
Throw the news out. You don't want to get aggravated about it. Just take time for yourself and stay healthy, but enjoy the holiday, not the whole season, a holiday. That's the one, okay? Well, bottom line here is that if you are feeling overwhelmed, okay, prior to it, sometimes you're going to have to step back and get professional help too. If it's a grieving thing or any type of thing that is negative, okay, you're going to have to take control of that, but you might need help. We're not capable of doing everything ourselves sometimes. Don't be afraid to do that, okay? Take control of your holidays. Don't let them become something for you to dread. Instead, take steps to prevent the stress and depression like we just talked about. But, when the holidays come, see if you remember what the triggers were that bothered you the year before and avoid them, okay? Right. Combat that whole problem right away. You don't want to have any meltdowns, okay? The previous slides that we just spoke about and points I just brought up and stuff like that are great. But with a little planning and some positive thinking, you can find peace of mind and enjoy the holidays. And don't be afraid to ask for help if you truly need it.
Right.
And if you can get all that stuff together and keep it, remember, you're going to have a great holiday. And I wish everybody that they do have a great holiday.
We definitely hope everyone has a good holiday. And I think one of my takeaways from everything that you're saying, Vinny, is communicating with your friends and family, managing your expectations. And if you have to say no, it's perfectly okay. It
Absolutely.
really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to look out for yourself sometimes. And I think at the holidays, frequently, we're always worrying about everybody else. But yeah, you still have to take time for yourself and, manage all of that potential anxiety and depression and stress and enjoy it. Do the best you can to enjoy it.
And as I always say in the other presentations on regular stress, just always remember Alfred E. Newman, what me worry?
What me worry.
Okay.
It's
Don't
still
worry
true.
about it. Just have a good time. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So we wish everyone out there, a marvelous holiday season. And always remember, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. Bye, everyone. Bye, Vinny from Braven Health.
Bye now.
Take care.
Great holidays. Bye.